All right, hello and welcome to Grim Survival. And as you can tell, I am not him. I am actually Roderick Chappelle with Plant-Based Homestead Prepper, where we make prepping fun. So come on over and check our channel out as well. Don't leave Grim Survival. Keep watching his stuff, but add us to your playlist also. Take care.
Thank you, Roderick, for that introduction. Plant-Based Homestead Prepper, link in the description. I am Grim, and this is Grim Survival. Today we're talking about global water shortages, in particular water shortages in the United States and southeastern parts of the United States. We will definitely be talking about that because if you do not know, the United States is already experiencing water shortages and severe droughts in some areas. But before we get started, I encourage you, like, subscribe, share the video, spread the word, and remember, survival is grim.
This comes from Harvard University School of Arts and Sciences, March 20th, 2019. By 2071, nearly half of the 204 fresh water basins in the United States may not be able to meet monthly water demand, meaning at least part of the United States by 2071, which is roughly 55 years from now, will be experiencing monthly water shortages. Second, the water supply itself is expected to decrease. Projected climate changes affect both rain patterns and temperatures. Well, isn't that a shocker? While rainfall is expected to increase in some parts of the United States, as it has this spring and this year in the Midwest, the southern Great Plains and parts of the South won't be so lucky. Meaning the southern Great Plains, Oklahoma area comes to mind. I believe Kansas could be considered Great Plains areas. These are where lots of livestock can graze. They will be drying out, which with the lack of green vegetation, trees and such, would essentially turn this area into a desert. The water shortages may especially impact U.S. agriculture, and that is just going to be a problem all on its own. Next, we have an article here from the Water Project. I am not sure when exactly this one was posted, but just one little thing out of it I'd like to show you. Right here, some researchers claim that Lake Mead, which currently supplies 22 million people, may be dry by 2021. 2021 is only, what, 3 months away now? 2 months away? Yeah, 2 months away. I guess 3 months away. Anyway, the point being is 2021 is really close, and they're saying that Lake Mead, which feeds 22 million people, and for those of you that don't know, Lake Mead is located right here. It feeds Las Vegas, Nevada, and actually Lake Mead sits on the Arizona and Nevada state lines. So I believe the state line actually runs through the middle, and yes, if you see right here, the state line runs through the middle of Lake Mead. It's fed by the Colorado River, which runs through many, I think it's 5 states, and goes all the way down into Mexico and drains into the Gulf of California. So, point being, Lake Mead, let's go back. Where was it? Yeah. Lake Mead by 2021 is supposed to be dry. So yeah, back over here where I don't know why I'm down there. But let's look at Lake Mead water levels. 2017, not looking too good there. 2018, last year, looking worse. 2019 is the big blue one. We're looking a little better this year. We had a lot of rain in the spring, especially up in the north. Right now we have a lot of snow up in northern Montana. In Montana, I believe, is where the Colorado River runs through. Don't quote me on that because I haven't looked at the map to track it that far. Anyway, Lake Mead currently, as of October 19th, which is the same day I'm recording this video, at 7 a.m., it was at 145.92 feet, below full pool level. So, 145 feet below its capacity, really. That is a big difference. All right, drought intensity. This is Arizona. Oh, wait. No, that's Nevada. Sorry. My geography's failing me today. Anyway, that's Nevada. Arizona would be, yes, down here if it was correct. But yeah, drought intensity, as you can see, abnormally dry into moderate drought right around Lake Mead. Let me see if I can find where I put that. Yeah, here we go. The drought monitor. This is the southwestern United States. Now, of course, this is a fairly dry climate as it is, but they are experiencing severe drought in most of the region, including moderate drought over by Lake Mead, which feeds 22 million people. In addition, according to the United States Drought Monitor, as of October 15th, Texas is experiencing a heavy drought, or extreme drought, I should say, is what it says, throughout most of it. And I believe Austin and San Antonio are right in this general area, so they're experiencing drought. And in my experience of living in Texas, which I lived in the East Texas area for nearly 10 years, the central parts of Texas are prone to drought, so I would not consider that abnormal. Southern parts of Indiana are in moderate drought conditions, all the way up to the almost northeastern parts of Indiana. This I don't exactly agree with. Abnormally dry is what it says through this area. Now, I suppose certain areas may be a little bit drier than others, but from experience of driving in these areas, I can show you pictures of floods that are there right now. So that I'm not so sure. All right, Arizona State University right there. Study confirms that groundwater pumping is drying up Arizona's rivers. July 22nd, 2019. Now, this article says that groundwater pumping, which is pumping water through the example wells and well water being used for factories and agriculture in cities, is actually decreasing the surface water from the rivers on top of the ground. Clearly, here in the Midwest, we are experiencing a different sort of problem when it comes to water, as we have an abundance, actually too much, but other parts of the world are not faring as well as not even the western parts of the United States or the southern parts that have been in drought. As a matter of fact, they are even worse than that in these particular regions that I'm about to show you. Areas like Israel, Iran, Jordan, Pakistan, India, extremely high baseline water stress. Mexico, Italy, Egypt, Iraq, Portugal, high baseline water stress. Nearly 25% of the world's population faces a water crisis, posted August 7th, 2019, sciencealert.com. As of 2019, 17 countries in total are now experiencing extremely high baseline water stress. Baseline water stress is a system of measurement that was created to measure the amount of water that is coming into, for example, a reservoir, as opposed to the amount of water being taken out of a reservoir for use by the local population. So, when they are experiencing extremely high levels of baseline water stress, that indicates that they are taking a lot more water out than what is being replenished. So obviously, if you're taking more out than you're putting back in, you're going to see a decrease over a period of time because it's not being replenished faster than it's being removed. And it is replenished by natural rainfall, runoff, snowmelt, etc. Global Water Crisis Facts. I found this to be a very interesting read, and I will definitely post the links in the description. Nothing more essential to life on Earth than water, and yet, many people from Flint, Michigan, Cape Town, Africa to Asia, there's a global water crisis. We are facing it right now, and we have been for many years. It's just most people in the United States have always had an abundance of water. I mean, we really do. And we just don't notice it unless we're paying attention to the people that don't. Okay, globally, 844 million people lack access to clean water. Without clean, easily accessible waters, families and communities are locked in poverty for generations. Why is that? Because even though your government will not admit it, water is the #1 most valuable resource on this planet. Without water, you will not survive. Without a question, you will not survive. Women and children are the worst affected. Children because they are more vulnerable, and of course, women in these third world countries often have to carry the water, and I'm sure you've seen the videos of people carrying water buckets on their shoulders trying to get it from the river 2 miles to the home. This is an everyday thing in these people's lifestyles, and it's not that they choose to live that way, it's that they have no choice but to live that way. Milestones of the global water crisis, 1700s to 1800s, and this is an interesting timeline if you go down it. I mean, 2.6 billion people have gained access to clean water in the last 25 years. Yet, 2018, worldwide 2.1 billion people still live without safe drinking water in their homes, and more than 892 million people still have no choice but to defecate outside, meaning they are using the restrooms outside, and these are very dry climates, so digging a outhouse like we would traditionally do here in the United States is not really feasible for the type of climate they live in. This is from Bloomberg. India's water crisis is man-made. One of its largest cities is virtually run dry and won't be the last if the country doesn't change its habits quickly. This was posted June 25th, 2019. Like I said, by Bloomberg. Here you see a couple of men carrying a bucket of water through what seems to be a very desolate place. One of India's largest cities, whose name I'm not going to pronounce, is dealing with a crippling crisis. It has run out of water in the middle of a particularly hot summer. And if you remember from some of my earlier videos, I had mentioned that India has set a record. One of its areas has set records for the hottest place on Earth this year. And obviously they're experiencing water shortage on top of extreme heat waves, and it is making for a very bad time for its residents. A shocking 600 million people face high to extreme water stress already, and that number is only going to increase. 200,000 of their residents already die every year because they don't have a safe water supply. 200,000 people every year are dying from not having water. And, you know, I have a bottle of clean water in my hand. What can we do? Somebody has to be able to do something. I mean, we have an abundance here. I mean, we're flooding. You're telling me we can't take some of this water and share it. Okay, well, that's a rant for another time. Moving on. Drought means that residents are only allowed to use the tap water once a week. This comes from CNN out of Zimbabwe, posted also in July 17, 2019. Residents in Zimbabwe have always been facing water shortages. It is, of course, a third world country, as we like to say it, but a recent drought, and this is more recent, has left more than 2 million people unable to get clean water. 2 million people very recently. This is including women and children, and I will post a link to this in the description, obviously. With the abundance of water we've had here in the Midwest and some parts of the northeastern United States, it's hard to forget that people south of us, or people here in our own country, are without water or experiencing an extreme drought. Let's take a look at Alabama. Birmingham, Alabama, October 17th, 2019. Drought worsens across the southeast. 75 affected nationally. A drought affecting more than 30 million people across southeastern United States is getting worse. The latest assessment from the U.S. Drought Monitor released Thursday shows arid conditions are deepening from Alabama to Virginia. Areas that were experiencing moderate drought are now in severe or extreme drought despite occasional rain. Yeah, this has been going on for several years in the southeastern United States. It is drying out the land. It is making it harder to grow crops. It's making it harder for cities to sustain the population. Forecasters say farm fields are drying out and some streams are down to a trickle. Alabama is under a wildfire alert after 530 fires burned more than 6,200 acres of land over the last months. Here we are taking a look at drought.gov, the U.S. drought portal. Did you know they had a drought portal? That's interesting. 2.6 million people here in Alabama are in drought. 56% of the state is experiencing a drought. 31% more are in abnormally dry areas. Here we can see a very detailed list of the drought conditions. Very pretty colored map they've made out for us here. This is Alabama, if you didn't notice. And 7.8% of the state is in extreme drought. 27.2% of the state severe drought. And as you can see by the map, they are experiencing a lot of drought in the eastern parts of Alabama. Now let's take a look at Georgia. 9,500,000 people are experiencing drought. 98% of the state is experiencing a drought, with only 2% in still abnormally dry areas. 16.1% of the entire state of Georgia is in extreme drought conditions, while almost 70% of all of its residents are in severe drought conditions. This problem has been persisting for several years now, and it is only getting worse. I will have the link to this particular page in the description so you can check the drought conditions in your area. So as you can see, the United States is not immune to global water shortages. As a matter of fact, we're seeing it, like you've just seen, in the southeastern United States, the southern parts of Texas, central and southern parts of Texas, the southwestern parts of the United States. We are experiencing water shortages throughout the United States already. So I encourage you, if you haven't done so already, stockpile water. Stockpile water bottles, get 55-gallon drums. You can find them online. You can find them at Amazon. There's many different places you can get them. If you have the ability to build a rainwater catch, do so. Instructions on YouTube. I mean, you can find an abundant amount of videos on doing just that. I encourage you to stockpile water. If you do not have a water stockpile and you have a lot of food, how do you plan to wash it down? How do you plan to cook? I mean, you have to have the water stockpile. You have to. It's heavy, it's bulky, it's hard to store. Believe me, I know it's hard to store water. Berkey water filters are definitely the way to go. I have a video on the Sawyer S3 water filter. It is a portable version of a filter that can remove harmful pesticides and chemicals. Link in the description with the other links. Good luck finding them. There's probably a lot of them by now. Just going to remind you right now to subscribe, like the video, share, spread the word. Remember, you know, we're all going to die one day. So, hey, death is intimate, but hey, survival, it's grim.